Today we're diving into the dramatic comedy title, White as Snow. You're on Blackout Recap. Let's go! The story opens with Claire, a young woman grappling with the recent death of her father, a hotel owner. Left in the care of her greedy stepmother, who has inherited the hotel empire, Claire's life takes a turn for the worse. During her morning run, she is suddenly abducted by a mysterious criminal. The kidnapper locks Claire in the trunk of his car and speeds along a twisting forest road. However, a wild boar unexpectedly darts across their path, causing him to swerve and crash into a tree. Taking advantage of his momentary disorientation, Claire escapes from the wrecked trunk and flees into the woods, her survival hinging on this narrow chance. After fleeing into the forest, the kidnapper catches up, points the gun at Claire, and a shot rings out. When she regains consciousness, Claire finds herself in an unfamiliar house where a man serves her breakfast. Introducing himself as Pierre, he explains he stumbled upon her while hunting boars in the woods. Nearby, he discovered a dead woman and suggests Claire might have been responsible, though the details remain unclear. Claire proposes calling the police, but Pierre quickly dismisses the idea, revealing his criminal past and fear of returning to prison. He leaves briefly and comes back with clean clothes, explaining that while she was unconscious, he washed her dirty outfit. After changing, Claire explores the house and meets Pierre's twin brother, Francois, a musician. She listens to Francois play and eventually dozes off. The next day, Pierre insists that Claire leave, worried her presence could draw danger to his home. Claire argues she's safer with him, and although Pierre reluctantly agrees, he lashes out in anger. When he grabs her in frustration, Claire fights back, and Pierre backs off. Later, guilt-ridden, Pierre returns and kisses Claire, and she doesn't pull away. The following morning, Claire ventures outside and meets Vincent with his dog. Learning that Pierre and Francois are at work, she convinces Vincent to accompany her to the vet. On the way back, Vincent suggests stopping at a diner, where Claire opens up about her childhood love of playing the violin, a passion she abandoned after her mother's death. When Claire and Vincent return to the house, he surprises her with a violin, encouraging her to rekindle her musical passion. However, Pierre arrives and grows furious upon learning Claire went out with Vincent, fearing her presence will become known around town. The next morning, Claire watches Pierre chopping firewood outside her window. When he comes inside, they share a passionate kiss that leads to intimacy. That night, Claire hears the TV and goes downstairs. She sits beside who she believes is Pierre, touching his leg flirtatiously. After they're together, the man reveals with a nervous stutter that he's actually Francois. Apologizing, he admits he couldn't resist. To his surprise, Claire smiles coyly in response. Eager to assert her independence, Claire gets a job as a waitress at a local diner the next day. After returning home, she attempts to call her stepmother, but the line goes dead as soon as her voice is recognized. The second half of the movie flashes back to 1 week prior. Claire's stepmother, Maud, watches from the window as her secret lover, Bernard, helps Claire pick up a fallen towel. Bernard later joins Maud privately, where she suggests they stop hiding their affair now that her husband has passed. However, she feels they should take a break as the passion has faded to avoid growing resentment. Bernard agrees to end things with Maud, but after leaving her room, he calls Claire to confess his love. Furious, Maud overhears the call and begins plotting to eliminate Claire from her life. Later, during lunch, Bernard asks Maud about Claire's disappearance. Maud lies, claiming it's not unusual for her to vanish. However, when Claire unexpectedly calls Maud, she quickly ends the conversation. At the diner where Claire works, her beauty mesmerizes the male patrons. Charles, the town librarian, even brings his shy son Clement to meet her. The local veterinarian Sam also shows interest and invites her to a club that evening. During the outing, another man harasses Claire, and Clement steps in to defend her while Sam stands frozen, unable to act. On the way home, Claire tells Sam she thought he was strong but finds his vulnerability appealing. Stopping the car, Sam asks her to repeat herself. Claire touches his arm, says she likes him, and climbs onto his lap. In the morning, Maud arrives in town and spots Claire. She heads to the library where she meets Charles, who compliments her beauty, calling her the town's second angel this week. Charles suggests she visit the church, noting it has guest rooms available for her stay. Having finished flirting with fashion, she continued her search. Maud meets the priest and tells him about her stepdaughter, who has been missing for several days. Hearing her name, the priest says he knows her. Maud asks him not to say anything to anyone because Claire will run away again. She tells him that the girl is angry with her because Maud did not take enough care of her after her father's death. The priest offers to mediate between the girl and her stepmother. In the morning, Clement goes jogging with Claire. She likes Clement, and there's hardly a man in town she doesn't like. Though very shy, Clement tries to hug her but trips and falls. Embarrassed, he gets up and runs off. Claire visits the church and talks to the priest about her relationships with some men. The priest mentions someone at the church who wishes to reconcile with her and brings her to Maud. Claire does not resist and follows the priest, where she unexpectedly meets Maud. Maud explains that she was able to locate Claire because of a phone call Claire made to her but abruptly ended. Using the number, Maud managed to trace the caller. After Claire shares the details of her recent days, she expresses a desire to stay in the town where she has formed many new friendships. Maud doesn't object and decides to remain in town for a few days. When it's time for her to return to work, Maud offers to take Claire back to the city with her. On the way, Maud abruptly stops near the edge of a cliff, claiming they have a flat tire. She asks Claire to check it, and as Claire leans down, Maud quietly sneaks up prepared to push her off. Just then, a pastor riding a motorcycle arrives, interrupting her plan. Foiled by the unexpected witness, Maud quickly changes course, suggesting they return to town and meet again the following weekend. Unaware of her stepmother's intentions, Claire agrees without suspicion. At the restaurant, Charles approaches Claire. He explains that his son Clement has become withdrawn and uncommunicative. Clement snaps at him constantly and refuses to engage in any conversation. Charles asks Claire to visit Clement at the shop to help improve his attitude towards his father. After work, Claire visits Clement, tells him she loves him, and kisses him. She later goes to the library and reassures Charles that everything is fine. Charles discusses the book he gave to Claire, but during their conversation, he suddenly loses his composure. To Claire's surprise, he begins begging her to whip him with a riding crop, leaving her both shocked and amused. On Sunday, Claire and Maud go on a picnic. Maud offers Claire a poisoned apple, but just as Claire is about to bite, Clement appears. Claire invites him to join, handing him the apple. Alarmed, Maud snatches it away, claiming she doesn't trust the stranger. Clement apologizes and walks off. Setting the apple aside, Claire follows Clement, and the two make love in the forest as rain falls around them. That evening, Maud attends the town dance and spots Claire dancing with various partners. Seething, she orders 2 glasses of wine and secretly adds a potion to one. Her plan fails when Clement accidentally takes the spiked drink. Frustrated, Maud instead gives Claire a regular glass and forcefully drags her around the dance floor, intent on ruining her night. Maud drives Claire home along a winding mountain road, her demeanor growing dark. She confesses that she's only loved once, but Claire stole that love from her. After her bitter admission, Maud suddenly pushes Claire out of the moving car and stops near the cliff's edge. Believing Claire is dead, Maud walks away. She enters the church to light a candle but accidentally sets herself ablaze. Meanwhile, Claire survives the fall and awakens in a hospital bed, surrounded by 7 men devoted to her. As she regains consciousness, the story concludes.